Hello. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. Yeah, Pradeep, we can see you, so you can get started.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm sorry that there was some technical glitch.
Yeah, no
I'll
problem.
have to. Uh, the screen has gone. I'm unable to share the screen. Any issues here? It's saying the host has disabled the participant screen
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, sorry. Yes. Yeah, now we can share.
Yeah. So what I was talking about is that we will focus on these four segments and see how things have changed in the supply chain. Can you see the screen now? All of you can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
the
it's
screen?
Yeah,
visible.
yeah, we can see, we can see.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so in pharma and medical segment, if you see, on the demand side, there was an increase in the pharma and medical supplies. There was a huge demand on PPE, ventilators, sanitizers, masks. The requirement was faster transits for critical products. Huge imports were required from the sourcing hub. Unfortunately, in pharma, what happens is the sourcing hubs are limited, and unfortunately, one of the major sourcing hub is China for the APIs and other things. So there was also shift of production of essential items. If you see initially when COVID started in India, everything had to be imported from China and other places. But slowly you had SMEs and MSMEs in India who started manufacturing the sanitizers, the mask and other things. So there was a change. Increased visibility was required. Replenishing the inventory was required, and engagement with medical centers and state health centers was required. Because pharma and medical segment was one of the major segments which got affected. On the supply chain side, we had restricted logistics. There was a dearth of production and inventory. There was a lack of efficient supply chain because of restricted logistics available. There was a problem of inventory getting depleted at the primary and secondary distribution levels, and there was a overall impact on the lockdown because of the lockdown. So the supply was not happening in proportionately to the response to the demand which was there in the marketplace. So this would continue, and this has opened the eyes of the industry. The industry now probably going forward is working on a few important things on the supply chain. One is the gradual shift from global supply chain to self-sufficient supply chain, which is essentially again, being Atmanirbhar, what our Prime Minister has been saying. New sourcing strategies are getting evolved. Uh, we have to have more agile and strategic procurements, and that the technology has to come in play, more and more. The digital and analytic tools has to be needed to accelerate the entire supply chain. Automation of manufacturing process, the warehouses and other things has to go on a faster space. In fact, people are talking about automation 4.0. So automation 4.0 is becoming the need of tomorrow, not only for the pharma industry, but for most of the industries. Efficient remote workforce working, because people are working from home. So you need to have an efficient system where the workforce can work from home, the quality people can work from home, and, help the, plants to produce efficiently. So, and also on the pharma side, you would find, the supply chains becoming more patient centric. You'll also find telehealth apps and other app-based ecosystems to help the consumers to, on the pharma and medical side. And then overall, there will be an increased involvement on the government and from the government and the regulatory authorities with the manufacturing units. And there will be a overall shift because technology will become the key area for the future. If you go to the B2B distribution segment, B2B essentially means, the movement of commercial packaged goods from place A to place B by any modes of transport. So again, over here, the demand was on the PPE and cleaning products. There was a demand on gray products, gray goods, which would enable people to work from home and continue the business, for example, laptops and mobile phones, etc. Uh, there was a demand of contactless customer services and deliveries, and there was a demand of sterile packaging and transportation because people wanted that there should be no reasons that the infection should, transfer to any place, and increased equipment for order assistance and visibility. On the supply chain side, again, you had the same problem of restricted logistics, periodic sanitization required in the transportation, in the warehouses, in the godowns, and with the delivery boys. There was a issue of inventory not available at the distribution network. There was the issue of replanning the entire supply chain because the supply chain was not normal, and the lockdown and restrictions were becoming a bottleneck all across. So there was a need of e-commerce and digital platform presence all across. There are a few companies who have a robust or a e-commerce system, but if you talk about the entire companies which are spread across all across in India, the percentage of companies who are very strong on e-commerce and digital platform is very few. So I think going forward, this is the need, and each and every company has to have an omni-channel presence and ensure that the e-commerce and digital platform is doing well. So I think this is one way forward as far as the future is concerned. The customer collaboration has to increase. The remote operation assistance to the manufacturing units, to the warehouses, etc., has to increase. Automation of the warehouse has to happen. Uh, there has to be a repurpose of transportation and vendors because the old systems may not work as efficiently as we need, and there is a need of just in case strategy in place of just in time management, which is in place. The, there is a need of more and more technology. There is a need of revising the pricing strategies. So this is what is required going forward, and the industries have started working on this. If we see the consumer packaged goods and distribution industry, on the demand side, you see there was a rise in demand in the online grocery products, the dairy products, ready to eat segment products. There was a demand in sanitizer and cleaning products. There was a loss of sales in alcohol beverages due to channel closures. There was a spike in demand of tobacco products because of panic buying. There was an increase in demand of education toys, family games, digital games. There was a reduced demand of apparels and footwears because this took a back seat. And then there was no more fashion shows happening in India. Malls and shops were closed. There was an increase in demand of online, beauty products and beauty consultation happening all across the world. And there was a reduced demand on shift in consumption because of the food, because again, there was hospitality chains and other chains were closed. On the supply chain side, we had the same issue of manpower, workforce not there, production not happening, lockdowns, lead times, and heavy reliance on fuel. Manufacturing capacities were reduced. The raw materials were not available the way it should be. The stocks were not available in the primary distribution centers and the secondary distribution center. And there was a need of realigning the online supply chain fulfillment, because every company in India was not very strong as far as online fulfillment is concerned. So there was a great need of realigning the entire thing. And obviously there was an issue of supply chain costs going high. So there was a need of, seeing how to, control the costs. So going forward in the distribution industry and the consumer packaged goods, what is important is there are going to be rapid prototypes happening for COVID-19 essentials. There will be innovative and healthy products. There will be an agile planning cycle which is there. There will be a repurpose of outsourcing and distribution, management. So that has to be revisited, and the outsourcing and distribution planning has to be replanned. Forecasting of essential products has to be again seen that it has to be just in time or just in case, because what happened is, if you see pre-GST and post-GST, there were consolidation of warehouses all across the country, and then you did not have state warehouses. and the supply was happening from few warehouses, say 4 or 5 warehouses from the country. So with having only 4 to 5 warehouses all across the country, it is difficult to manage in the crisis time, and hence, just in case management is required, just in case management essentially means that there are fast moving goods which are required in this disaster planning, and those goods should be available in a larger number of inventory in the warehouses. There is a need of automated plant and robotics, and you'll find small retail formats happening. Brand protection building would be required, and overall, most importantly, technology will play a very important role. Either you go for automation 4.0, or you go just to implement the e-commerce, the digital platforms, the consumer experience, or track and trace. Uh, let's see on the FMCG and the retail segment. If you see the grocery essentials, personal hygiene, laundry products, hand sanitizers, this all were out of stock. The range of stock which was available all across the country was 14 to 20%. And that resulted in a lot of panic, and the supply chain was affected. There was also an issue of lack of transportation, police restrictions on the road, and then the fear psychosis. People were not wanting to go out. So I think going forward, what is required in the distribution industry is a decalibration of the entire distribution which is happening. Review and adjust the distribution strategy. Okay, have a new supply chain strategy. Rework on it, because the old things may not work efficiently as we require. Review on the entire 2020 strategy, which has already been planned, because that will no more be applicable with this kind of pandemic happening and uncertainty. You also, because the cost is going up because of these reasons, there will be enough focus on reducing spends on few pockets. Media and research obviously will come into play, where the spends will go down. There will be also a reduce of spends on entertainment, training, travel, etc. And there will be a priority production planning, instead of so the essential goods will take priority, and the non-essential goods will take non-priority. And there will be a lot of innovation strategy, which the companies have to think, and probably manpower recruitment, organizational restructuring to cut down the cost will continue to happen. So the new reality is the consumer behavior will now shift totally to online and digital channels, and this will persist. Use of WhatsApp and intelligent automation will continue. So if you all know, Walmart is already working with Reliance on probably having a facility. That's the reason why the Geo has got so much of investment, that probably tomorrow you'll be able to do online shopping from your WhatsApp instead of going to the e-commerce platform. So that is what is going to happen in the future. There will be a structural shift and realigning of the business model. The business model has to be agile, adaptable, and resilient. E-commerce and hyper-local logistics will grow. Hyper-local logistics essentially means, like Swiggy, Zomato, and all this all comes under hyper-local logistics. So the online aggregators partnering with the last mile delivery agents will increase all across the country, rather all across the world. Also, I think most of you must have seen and heard that there is a shifting of manufacturing units happening from China. So the world wants to shift from China because of this pandemic. And one of the preferred countries is India. But somehow India got a little slow on this, and we could not get the largest share, though we got a good number of share. But I think Vietnam took the opportunity very seriously and efficiently, and hence you find a lot of units getting shifted to Vietnam. But they say they still, there are large number of companies which are coming into India, and the manufacturing will start happening from India. So that is a big opportunity in terms of economy, in terms of jobs for people, for the population here. and it will also help us to get become Atmanirbhar, what the Prime Minister has been talking about. And last but not the least is the efficiency has to be maximized, the cost has to be controlled, and the all the pharma companies all across the world are talking about control towers. A control tower is a central point from where you can control the entire supply chain all across the world, and ensure that if there is a crisis or if there is a disaster, there can be an efficient supply chain. So I think the intelligent automation 4.0, control tower is all, and technology is going to be priority in the coming days. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pradeep, for this valuable insight. And now I request Mr. Sujit Sen Gupta to talk to us about the general changes which we've seen in the business in the recent past.
Yeah, will you share the screen, please?
You can.
Can you see the screen?
No, not as.
No, we can't see the screen here.
Uh,
Yeah, it's visible now.
Yes, it's visible now.
can you share? Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I think Pradeep and Pankaj both have given a very broad outline of what's happening, and I would not like to go or repeat into those of the details, but instead of saying reimagining business due to the changing consumer expectation, I will call it as the changing avatar of business. So let's see, briefly we can say that the consumer in the age of coronavirus are essentially, they come in the four categories of life simplifiers, of climate activists, degrowth activists, and conversation activists. And life simplifiers are those who want to eat less and buy less, and they spend more on vitamins and supplements and all that, and they hold back on indulgence, and they don't believe in conspicuous consumption. That's all been said. The conservation activists are those, they criticize the companies such as Zara that every 2 weeks produces the new set of women's clothing styles, and that would be only available for 2 weeks. So that's also going on against this. And the degrowth activities feel that too much time and effort are going into consuming, is going to surface. And the climate activists, we all know that they worry about the harm and risk that the high-bike consumers are doing to our planet. So if you see some of the products that have been launched very, very recently, in fact, the jockey ad I just got in my email today, this is all because you're sitting at home, you're working out comfortably from home. And the next ad is of Alia Bhatt, who's saying preventing healthcare, fresh foods and household, amongst others. So, and they're trying to promote, healthy, Ayurvedic type of food. Now, instead of saying the new normal, I'll say let us be thriving in the face of continuous turbulence. And it's a function of how long and severe the crisis is going to be. And the biggest challenge is over here is nothing but social challenge, is for social distancing. And already startups are offering tech-based solutions to handle crowding at malls, from the offices and markets, as well as for contactless shopping. So this will be what we get to see now. So in this change scenario, you have less people movement, and less people movement would mean there are thinner crowds at restaurants. We are already seeing theaters and stores, and consumers will spend less. They seek value for money. They will trade down on the variants. I think Sidoini had already said that in opening address, and they would prefer repairing over replacements. And the needle is also shifting towards smaller cities. Then when we talk about automation, as Pradeep also said, that Industry 4.0 or Automation 4.0 is going to come in, and this is going to speed up. And third is more workers to work remotely. People have now understood the advantage of working from home. And one of the biggest advantage of working from home is that you can even work for multiple number of companies today. Okay. And fourth is the reduced travel, and it's because of quarantine and foreign travels will be going to this is going to affect the capital purchase, and then fewer workforce, which will be as a result of automation, and also because the migrant laborers have gone away. And sixth is the commercial real estate, the downturn in commercial real estate prices. Companies may opt to shift out of densely populated cities because now they are working from home. And seventh is from offline to online, and it is going to be for all necessities. And the big winners are going to be those with online presence, or as we call it, omni-channel, which Rohini described. So now, how companies are remodeling their business? So let's have a look at a few examples. You've seen this already in the newspapers. Rented shops go out of fashion. It's called a revenue share model. In Khan market, if you have Ritu Kumar, the biggest fashion house, they are saying that we are not going to give you a rent of 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs per month because we don't know what the sale is going to be. But today, people are working on a revenue share model. Next is another example of Kevin Care. Kevin Care will shut its headquarters to rent out office space. And it is in the center of Chennai, and they have closed all 4 branches, and they are calling for bids from tenants for 40,000 square feet. It's going to be additional income also for them. So they are going to now give out, and they're going to ask most of their staff to work from home, and those who have to work in the factories, only the other ones will be required to come. Now, if you see here, contactless delivery by KFC has already started. Great taste delivered with care. Place order online, pay online, receive your delivery of fresh, hot, and crispy chicken without any interaction. Seamlessly ordering from right where you're sitting, and there is zero contract involved. And 5-star hotels in Chennai, with business and tourism, they're running aground by the coronavirus. Several of these stars hotels in Chennai, and they've started monetizing their expertise in housekeeping and disinfection and sanitizing. And they're doing it because you would not like to give it to your clothes to an ordinary presswala or to any laundry near your house, because you know that in a 5-star hotel, the laundry is very well disinfected and then handle your product with care. Now, even your Make My Trip has a business model of a pickup. Okay, and then now you see even Book My Show. They are saying catch up with the latest TV trailers or movies. These are all because you're sitting at home and you're going out less. So in the comfort of your home, they're giving you these benefits. As Pradeep was talking about Walmart also, this is what Walmart stores and how it will look. So look what they've done. They've got social distancing, as Pankaj also said, I think 6, 10 or 20 or something like that. So they are now adjusting the store hours for senior citizens who are more vulnerable. So every Tuesday of the week, they got a special timing for senior citizens. And pharmacies and business centers will also be open during this time. And this will be starting 1 hour before the store opens. Then they're limiting the number of people in a store at once to allow no more than 5 customers for each 1,000 square feet at a given time. And then they are combining the mobile app for easier curbside pickup. Now, curbside pickup is something, what you see in this picture, that you go in front of the Walmart store and you see your app, and the guy is going to be ready at the stipulated time, and your package is going to be dropped here, your car is going to stop here, and you take the car and go away. Now, store hours for seniors, I've already said. then you are having a, now the self-checkout, they're going to have more and more of self-checkout so that people are positioned horizontally and they don't have to stand in queue. And there are hosts to help you out. And then they're also installing sneeze guards in pharmacy and register lanes, because when you go to the pharmacy, people can sneeze and there are sneeze guards. So, and there are of course hopes also to the host to also check you. Now, you see here some of the reinventing business during COVID. Redigo Khatan, who makes rum for that matter, has started making Khatan sanitizers. Mahindra has, they have given their excess capacity for in-house ventilators. Maruti Suzuki and Agva Healthcare have combined to make ventilators. And in the US, GE and Ford Motors, they have combined to make ventilators. So, and now we are in such a state that we got excess ventilators, and some 2,000 ventilators are going to be distributed to many of the states, as Prime Minister Modi had announced only 2 days back. So we are all self-sufficient in terms of PPE kits as well as ventilators. Now, competition and collaboration, you see here tie-ups among different brands and corporations. They belonging to apparently similar sectors like Big Bazaar and Amazon and pharmacy. They've combined. See, during COVID times, it's been seen that realizing they cannot just rely on customers coming to the stores, they had to explore alternate channels to reach out to customers at their doorstep. And they worked with technology providers to build sales platforms that supported online sales via WhatsApp, via web links, via online shopping ads, and by partnering with food delivery or gas service providers, even Uber was delivery. Apps were developed, allowances were forged, SOPs were created. So be it a small kirana shop or a chain or a hypermarket, everyone is reaching out to customers online. So this is what is happening. And of course, in the whole process, retailers also made a lot of mistakes in a hurry to go online. They migrated to platforms that were not fully adept in managing the nuances of online inventory replication, complex pricing and offer management, or weren't temperature compliant for delivery, chilled and frozen categories. Another big thing that happened in Bombay or Mumbai, offline retailers were setting up their stores in apartment complexes or societies, while online players are building new models and serving customers individually or even with consolidated orders in the name of Society Seva in Mumbai. This is about in London. The first two pictures are of Butcher, Hampstead Butcher. He is a very, very popular shop in Hampstead, London. And during this lockdown period, there used to be a queue which was close to 100 to 200 meters long to enter the shop. And next to this is a wet fish cafe, where essentially it's sitting and dining. And on the outside, they also have seating area. But then the wet fish cafe guy was saying that I am losing, there are a queue of customers in front of the Hampstead Butcher, that nobody comes to us. So Wet Fish Cafe changed the business model. They started supplying fresh fish, Cornish, wild, and they started having vegetables and buns and fresh juices. So when you buy mutton or other meat, you also buy some other products along with it. So these customers were standing in the queue at the Hampstead Butcher. They were also queuing up at Westwood Cafe, and they were taking advantage of the Hampstead Butcher. So this is how business models are evolving, and during the COVID times. So what now? What now is when the short-term winners are going to be those who provide is going to be a virtual showroom in the future, as you can see. And Rohini had also put it up in an article. The short-term winners will be those who provide goods and services without needing to come into physical contact with their customers. And in this digital transformative environment, providing customer experience is going to be the biggest challenge. And the digital transformation must serve new customers and their employment needs. And so therefore, now it is now time for the companies to upgrade their business model. They have to commit to the next generation model so that they can build value and provide compelling customer experience. They have to be better, they have to be faster, and they have to be knocking down all the internal silos in the organization. And it's a decisive point for the digital commerce, e-commerce, telemedicine, and for digital transformation. Thank you, Rohini, and everybody. I hope it's a short presentation which I've tried to share with you. But one truth is abundantly clear, that we cannot afford to go back to the old way of doing things. The companies that most aggressively adapt and extend new ways of operating will turn this crisis to their advantage. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for this quick and very contemporary overview. Now, I would request the participants to raise any questions in case they have. Participants, do you have any questions? No questions? Fine. So thank you very much. Thank you, participants. And
Vinod, you also don't have a question?
Sir, there is no query, but with your kind permission, if you allow me, I probably would like to request Mr. Pradeep and Rohini Madam, if they have enough time in the month of, maybe end of August and September, I would like to have a guest session like you are also taking for sales and distribution. So with your kind permission, if you allow me, I can request them and for a guest session on with the commercial aspects, as you are aware about it. Because you are already taking one of the session and Pankaj sir is also taking. So maybe the end of August and somewhere in first week of September.
that will be a pleasure, sir. Let's keep in touch and we can talk about it.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll be in touch with you via Sujit sir only.
Sure.
And accordingly, we will plan it out sometime at IBS Gurgaon. Thank you very much. This was really a wonderful.
Thank you for remembering me too. Thank you very much.
It's because, sir, it's because the syllabus matches with supply chain management under the distribution domain. And that's the main reason. And I really like the way you have presented everything. I'm a big fan of Sujit sir always. And Pankaj sir, I've just met via Sujit sir. So a big thanks to Sujit sir. Every time he introduces a lot of people. So no query as of now. I mean, it was really a wonderful session. All good examples I have observed, and I would say, I mean, more than 10 on 10, I should say.
Thank you.
Everybody was wonderful.
Thank you for being here and spending your time. I thank all the participants. It's good
that you guys are sharing your time without even having any commercial aspect as of now. So it's good that you have come up with such an effort. It's really nice effort. Thank you very, very much, all of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all the panelists. I'm very indebted that you all spent your time here today. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, Rainy.
Thank you all of you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.